Jimmy Fortune, the golden voice that carried the Statler brothers into the hearts of millions, has lived a life filled with music, faith, and emotion. For decades, his voice was a beacon of hope, his lyrics a reflection of love, struggle, and redemption. But now at 70, fans are left heartbroken by what's happened to the beloved country singer. Behind his gentle smile and humble words lies a story of pain, perseverance, and deep faith, one that continues to inspire fans worldwide. From the moment he joined the Statler brothers in 1982, Jimmy became more than just a replacement for a legendary band member. He became its heart and soul. His songs like Elizabeth, More Than a Name on a Wall, and Too Much on My Heart became timeless classics that touched generations. Yet fame, as Jimmy would later reveal, came with its own share of trials. Life after the Statlers wasn't easy. Health battles, personal loss, and moments of loneliness tested his spirit. Still, through every challenge, Jimmy's voice never faded. It grew stronger, carrying a message of hope and faith that continues to resonate today. This is the untold story of Jimmy Fortune, the hardships he's faced, the legacy he's built, and the reason fans across the world can't help but tear up when they see the man he's become. Jimmy Fortune was born in Staunton, Virginia, on March 11, 1955. Growing up in the Shenandoah Valley, he was surrounded by the simple beauty of country life, church hymns, family gatherings, and long nights filled with music. From a young age, Jimmy showed a natural gift for singing and harmony. His parents noticed his ear for melody, and soon he was performing at local events, dreaming of one day making it big in Nashville. His big break came when the Statler brothers, one of the most iconic vocal groups in country music, found themselves without their tenor, Lou DeWitt, who had to leave due to illness. In 1982, Jimmy was asked to audition. His voice, smooth yet full of soul, immediately captivated the group. Within days, he was hired, and soon after, he was performing on stages he once only dreamed of. For over 2 decades, Jimmy toured with the Statler brothers, becoming an essential part of their sound and identity. His songwriting quickly set him apart. When he penned Elizabeth, the song became an instant hit, reaching millions and solidifying his place in country music history. The group's gospel influences and rich harmonies connected deeply with fans who saw themselves in the stories they told. Behind the scenes, Jimmy was humble and grateful. Despite fame, he often spoke about his faith, crediting God and his family for keeping him grounded. But while the spotlight shined bright, few realized the toll that decades of touring and performing would take on his mind, body, and soul. By the time the Statler brothers retired in 2002, Jimmy had experienced both triumph and turmoil. He had fulfilled his dreams, but was now faced with the daunting question that every artist eventually confronts. What comes next? When the Statler brothers officially retired in 2002, it marked the end of an era, not only for the fans who adored their harmony, but for Jimmy Fortune himself. For 2 decades, he had stood shoulder to shoulder with some of country music's most respected voices, traveling the world, performing for sold-out crowds, and living out a dream he never thought possible. But when the curtain fell on that chapter, Jimmy found himself staring into the unknown. He once said in an interview, "When the music stops and the lights go out, you start to wonder who you really are." Those words reveal the quiet struggle he faced after the fame faded. The touring stopped, the crowds went home, and Jimmy was left to rediscover himself outside the group that had defined so much of his life. There were emotional lows during this time, long stretches of loneliness and uncertainty. For years he had poured everything into his career. Now he was faced with health concerns, exhaustion, and the weight of aging in an industry that often forgets its veterans. But instead of giving up, Jimmy did what he had always done best. He turned to his faith and his music. During his lowest moments, gospel music became his refuge. Songs like I Believe, In God's Time, and More Than a Name on a Wall reflected not only his spirituality, but his determination to keep going, no matter the pain. These songs weren't just melodies, they were his prayers. Tragedy struck again when Jimmy lost close friends and family members over the years. Each loss cut deep, but it also strengthened his perspective on life. He often spoke about heaven, love, and forgiveness in interviews, emphasizing how his faith helped him heal. "We don't get to choose what happens to us," he once said softly, "but we do get to choose how we face it." Fans began to notice the deeper emotion in his performances. His voice, though aged, carried new weight, a kind of sorrow mixed with wisdom. At small-town venues and gospel festivals, audiences would often cry as Jimmy shared personal stories before singing his heart out. These weren't just concerts anymore. They were spiritual experiences. By the late 2010s, Jimmy had redefined his career, no longer as a mainstream country star, but as an artist of faith and authenticity. His independent albums resonated deeply with fans who, like him, had faced life's hardships. Through it all, he remained the same humble, kind-hearted Virginia man who never let fame change his soul. Still, behind the smile, the years had taken their toll. Touring, heartbreak, and health struggles were catching up with him. But Jimmy Fortune wasn't done yet. In fact, what came next would remind everyone why his story is one of the most inspiring in country music. As the years passed, the toll of a lifetime spent on the road began to show. The constant traveling, the stress of performing, and the emotional burden of loss started to affect Jimmy Fortune's health. In his late 60s, fans began to notice that the once energetic performer seemed frailer. His voice, though still filled with soul, had grown softer, and he occasionally canceled appearances due to exhaustion and health-related issues. Behind the scenes, Jimmy was quietly facing medical challenges that would test his spirit more than anything before. He rarely went into detail, preferring to keep his private life private, but close friends later revealed he was dealing with heart-related complications and recurring pain from years of touring. Still, despite doctors' warnings, Jimmy refused to completely step away from music. He once said, "As long as I can stand and sing one more song, I'll keep doing it. God gave me this voice, and I'll use it until He tells me I'm done." That simple declaration became a rallying cry for his fans, a reminder that resilience and faith can overcome even the darkest storms. During this time, Jimmy began working on some of his most meaningful projects. His 2015 album Hits and Hymns and the companion DVD Live by Request were testaments to his enduring faith and love for music. These works weren't about fame or charts. They were about gratitude. Each song was a reflection of a life lived through pain and grace. But even with success, Jimmy's personal life wasn't free from hardship. He faced moments of deep grief, including the passing of close friends from the Statler brothers' circle and others who had been part of his musical family. Each loss reminded him how fragile life truly was. Yet every time the world expected him to fade away, Jimmy came back stronger. In interviews, he spoke candidly about his renewed faith, saying, "God had to break me down to build me back up. I learned that the storms in life don't come to destroy you. They come to clear your path." In the mid-2020s, Jimmy scaled back on long tours but continued to make surprise appearances, performing at churches, charity events, and small gatherings. His voice, now more weathered than ever, carried an emotional depth that moved people to tears. His audiences weren't just fans anymore. They were believers, standing with him through every struggle. He became an advocate for health awareness and encouraged others in the entertainment industry to slow down and take care of their bodies and souls. Even as he fought his own battles, Jimmy focused on inspiring others. Today, at 70, Jimmy Fortune's story is more than a career tale. It's a lesson in perseverance. From the bright lights of country fame to the quiet strength of faith, he's shown the world that true success isn't measured in awards or money, but in how you touch people's hearts. But one final chapter remains, one that speaks of family, legacy, and the message he wants the world to remember long after he's gone. As Jimmy Fortune reaches 70, the man once known for electrifying stages across America now cherishes quieter moments. Gone are the roaring crowds and endless highways, replaced instead by the sound of laughter from his grandchildren and the soft strumming of a guitar on his porch in Nashville. After decades of giving everything to his music, Jimmy's world has come full circle. Family, faith, and peace have become his greatest treasures. Those close to Jimmy say he's grown more reflective than ever. He spends hours writing in journals, jotting down memories and lessons from his incredible journey. He once said in an interview, "The lights fade, the crowds go home, but family, they're the ones who stay. They're the real audience that matters." That sentiment defines his life today. Though his health remains fragile, Jimmy doesn't see it as a curse, but as a reminder to slow down. After years of living in overdrive, he's learned to savor life's simple blessings, a sunrise, a home-cooked meal, or singing a hymn with loved ones. "God's been good to me," he often says with a smile, "even when I didn't deserve it." But for fans, it's bittersweet. Seeing their beloved country legend step back from the spotlight feels like the end of an era. Jimmy's occasional public appearances are emotional affairs, filled with tears, prayers, and standing ovations that seem to last forever. His performances of Elizabeth, or More Than a Name on a Wall, now carry a deeper meaning. They're not just songs anymore, they're messages of gratitude and farewell. In 2024, when rumors began to swirl about Jimmy retiring for good, he responded with humility. "I've said goodbye before," he told a small Tennessee crowd, "but as long as God gives me a voice, you'll still hear me sing somewhere." That promise keeps hope alive for the fans who followed him through every chapter of his life. Jimmy's influence extends far beyond music. Younger artists often credit him for inspiring them to stay true to their values in an industry that often forgets its soul. He's a living example that humility and authenticity never go out of style. Now, as he spends his days surrounded by faith, family, and fond memories, Jimmy Fortune's legacy shines brighter than ever. His story isn't just about fame or tragedy. It's about endurance, redemption, and the power of never losing hope. To those who've followed his journey since the Statler brothers, Jimmy's message is clear. We don't get to choose the storms, but we do get to choose how we face them. Keep your faith, keep your heart open, and never stop singing. And, as the sun sets on one of country music's most heartfelt voices, it's hard not to get emotional. Because behind every lyric, every tear, and every prayer, Jimmy Fortune has left something eternal. A reminder that love, faith, and song will echo long after the final curtain falls.